Raw consciousness does not require a savior, but rather, raw consciousness requires only knowledge of oneself, and the power to access it. Remember this, as we unlock an even greater gnosis from beyond the veil.
From the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, it's still fabulous, it's just shut down. From the shut down Las Vegas, Nevada, mass coal capital of the world. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm Chris Gio. I'll be taking you beyond the veil this evening. I am not joined by my lovely wife and co-pilot, Mrs. Gio, because she has an appointment for a massage. So we were rear-ended in a car accident on July 4th, and it's been really, really brutal for her. I find my strength and my solace in hanging out with each and every one of you. Solace isn't the right word. I find my my strength and my comfort. That's a better word. I find my strength and comfort in hanging out with each and every one of y'all. And I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind over the last couple of days. I've been posting about it on Facebook, but it's just like it's a meme that has just been kind of propagating itself over and over and over again. Come to find out, they actually fact-checked this just the other day, so they already got the Facebook fact checkers on it and all the other fact checkers, but the fact checkers actually have it wrong as well, or at least don't have the full story. So I had the meme opened up here on my screen, and of course it's not going to open up right now, but let me put this up on the screen right here so you can see what I'm talking about. I think this is the right one here. All right. Yes, that's it right there. So the COVID-19 mobile testing. And there is a meme going around that says that this right here is actually the face of Anubis. They use a little different picture of the van, but the meme says, why is there a picture of Anubis, the Egyptian goddess of death, on the van itself? And it's not actually Anubis. Like, I recognized it right off the bat, and I did a little bit of research, and I've been posting this on Facebook for the past couple of days, and people are like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. And then now people are going, oh, wait a minute. Chris Gio knows what he's talking about. And it's like, yeah, this has been a big energy and frequency that is in this matrix reset. And it was a big part of Egypt as well. I have some clips that I want to play for you, too, from Egypt, where we're talking about Set. This is actually an aardvark. An aardvark is Set. It's kind of unclear as to what Set is exactly. He could be an aardvark. He could be a tapir. We were calling him tapirs for a while. He could also be an anteater or something like that. But this right here is definitely Set. It's not Anubis. So big distinction. Anubis isn't the god of death because he comes and kills everything. Anubis is the guide who takes you to the other side. He's the ferryman. Anubis is not something to fear at all whatsoever. He's a neutral energy. That's the best way that I can describe it. I mean, he's just there to just drive the ferry, and that's it. He's not coming to kill people, and COVID doesn't have anything to do with this. But the company who has these vans is called Aardvark Mobile Testing, or Aardvark Mobile Health, and they repurpose their vans for COVID-19 mobile testing. But the fact that this is Set completely changes the dynamic, in my opinion. And now I think it goes to further underline some of the stuff that we were talking about in Egypt and how Set is the adversary that we're ultimately fighting against. So I don't even know where to go with this. I guess let me do a quick recap. Matrix reset, May of 2018, removal of the virus. The virus is a mind virus. It's a virus that's infected the Matrix. The Matrix is being reset right now in 2020, and the virus we identified, we started calling it Set. But it may not necessarily be Set in and of itself, but it's interesting how Set plays into this, because when we were in Egypt in May of 2018 and we were touching the stones, downloading all this information that was left in the stones, so on and so forth, I had these visions of Set and Horus both together locking consciousness into this machine. And what happened is Set had tricked Horus, and he was like, look, Horus, you want all the power, you want this, you want that, etc., etc. Why do we have this whole council of energies that are ultimately making the decisions within this matrix? And what happens over the matrix? Why don't we just lock them into the matrix? We don't have to worry about them. And at the same time, both you and I can rule together. And then Set turned around and threw Horus into the matrix. That's what we downloaded from the pyramid. It was very strange. However, what I'm starting to wonder is if we're dealing with one energy here, Set and Horus, and it's two aspects of the exact same consciousness. And as the journey started to progress, I started to realize that is indeed what we're dealing with. But Set wants to rule the matrix. And Set is the virus. Set is the one who allowed the virus to come into the system to begin with. So he's not the virus, so to speak, but he has merged with the matrix and AI so much, or the consciousness has merged with the AI and with the virus so much that they're indistinguishable now. They're one and the same. So when I say Set is the virus, that's the way I mean it. It's like he's infected himself, or it's infected itself so much so that it's 100% virus infected, total AI transformation. Do you remember in RoboCop 2? They had RoboCop, and he was like half human and half machine. And then you had the bad guy RoboCop, and he was also half human and half machine, but he was way more machine than he was human, and RoboCop was more human than he was machine. So it's kind of like that. He's kind of like merged. And Set wants to be everything. You see, Set was supposed to be kind of an adversarial energy, and that was the role that he was supposed to play. But something happened, and he wanted to play everybody else's role on top of that. And balance isn't attained like that. And the Set energy, I always likened it to the Yahweh energy as well. It seems to be one and the same. I am the supreme ruler. There are no other gods before me. Bow before me. I am all powerful. I'm all this, superpowers, all this bullshit. And that seems to be the Set energy, the Yahweh energy, the exact same crap that's been repeated over and over and over again. But let me get to this really quick. My headphones are blasting my ears, by the way. All right. Set, also known as Seth, was the original Egyptian god of war, the god of chaos, the god of storms, brother of Osiris, Isis, and Horus, the elder uncle to Horus, the younger and brother-in-law to Nephthys, who was Isis's twin sister. His other consort was the goddess Tawaret, and a hippo-headed deity who presided over fertility and childbirth. He's one of the first 5 gods created by the union of Geb and Nut, which is the sky and the earth. The way the story goes is that Geb and Nut, the sky and the earth, created the first 5. Among them were, I think, Set, Toth, a handful of others, if I remember correctly. I don't want to go into that because I don't remember correctly off the top of my head. But you guys and gals can let me know in the comments and in the chat as well. His name is usually translated as instigator of confusion. His name is translated as instigator of confusion. So, of course, people would look at a meme like this and say that's Anubis. No. That's Set right there. He is sometimes depicted as a red-haired beast with a forked tail and cloven hooves, or a shaggy red dog-like beast known as Shah. In early dynasty period of Egypt, he was important and benevolent. He was the god of Upper Egypt. Those whose name was invoked for love spells and inscribed on amulets, which served as... I got to pull this up on my screen in front of me. I'm sorry. Between the concussion that I had and the inability to see that far, it's not creating a good broadcast. Anyways, in the early dynasty period of Egypt, he was an important and benevolent god of Upper Egypt, whose name was invoked for love spells and inscribed on amulets, which served as love charms. He was also the deity who saved the sun god Ra from the serpent Apophis, an evil creature who tried to stop the sun god's journey through the night sky towards dawn. So the Egyptian mythology was that Apophis was trying to keep the sun from coming up every morning, and Set and Horus fought over that and removed Apophis, and the sun comes up every time. Ra is victorious over that. In doing so, Set assured that the sun would rise in the next morning. Set was also seen as a benefactor who helped the people in life and provided them for them after death. But by the time of the New Kingdom, he came to be known as the first murderer who killed his older brother Osiris to reign over the world, and then tried to murder Osiris' son Horus. Let me elaborate on this real quick. So, according to the Egyptian tales, what happened is that Set, he created a casket or a box made out of the acacia tree. Let me say that again. He made a box made out of the acacia tree. Now, that's the plant that we use to make ayahuasca with. There's all kinds of different species of acacia. There's Acacia nilotica, Acacia confucia. There's Mimosa hostilis, which is an acacia. You know, all these different acacia species are the center point of the ayahuasca brew itself. So it's remarkable how acacia comes up in the story. Not once, but twice. Let me tell you how it comes up again. So they put him in this box, and he said, "Look, brother, look what I have for you here." They were at a party. They got drunk. He's like, "Look, come and lay in this box. Let's see if it fits. Oh, what a beautiful gift it is, etc., etc." He got Osiris to go in the box and slam the door down on him. I would say that story is a metaphor for locking the energies within the matrix itself. So you've got Set locking the energies within the matrix one by one, and this one happens to be the story of Osiris. So Set takes the body off and chops them up into 13 pieces. And what happens at that point is he scatters them all over the place, and I take that back. He doesn't scatter them. He buries them under an acacia tree. So now again, we have the symbolism once again of the acacia tree coming up, and he took the phallus and he fed the phallus to the alligator. The alligator is Anput, if I remember correctly. Anput, the little alligator that is behind Thoth in the weighing of the heart ceremony. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Weighing of the heart ceremony. No, Anput. That's not Anput's name. Anput is a different one. Oh my God, I can't think lately. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot freaking think. This deity right here. I mean, I don't know why I can't think of names. Amit. Anput is a different one. Amit. So this is Amit here. Now, I'm just speculating that the alligator or crocodile is symbolic of Amit. But if it is, Amit is the one that after the initiate goes through the weighing of the heart ceremony, the heart is weighed with Mot's feather, and if it's balanced with Mot's feather, then it gets to go through. If it's lighter or heavier, see, a lot of people don't realize this, but it has to be balanced with Mot's feather. Not heavier, not lighter. That's the only way to pass through, according to the Egyptian tales. If it's not, then it goes over to Amit and gets eaten. And so what I have extrapolated upon this is that the heart gets eaten, which is representative of the consciousness, so it doesn't move on to the next level, which is where the weighing of the heart ceremony takes you. They call it the afterlife. I would call it the next level. But what does Amit do? Amit eats it and then defecates it out. I would say, and digests it. So I would say that this is representative right here of the wheel of reincarnation. Until you get it right, your consciousness is weighed, and then you're going to Amit and getting consistently recycled over and over and over again. And the digestive system cleanses you, once again, breaks you down, sends you back over. So to feed the phallus, which represents the power, to Amit, I would go so far as to say that it's representative of Set taking Osiris's power and trapping it within the matrix in the wheel of reincarnation. What do you guys and gals think about that? Let me know in the comments down below. So there was a merger of Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, and when this merger took place, that's when everything kind of merged together and things started to change. Like, for example, the stories of Sekhmet and Bastet. They used to be different aspects of one another and then became separate entities. The story of Sekhmet and Bastet is actually pretty interesting because Ra was going down, and he had seen that the people in the Matrix were really screwing up and all of that, and he's like, hey, you know, somebody needs to go down there and fix this. So he sent Sekhmet, the big lion-headed goddess, and she went down there and she started just killing people indiscriminately, and like there was like she got blood hungry and drunk on blood and all of this, and Ra was like, whoa, we've got to do something. So he went to Thoth and he said, hey Thoth, you know, we've got some issues here, what do we do? And Thoth, in all of his wisdom, said, I got an idea. Let's go ahead and flood the Nile with wine. Okay, so she's gonna see that the Nile is flooded with wine, but it's gonna look like blood. She's gonna drink it, and when she drinks it, she's going to get drunk. So she went over there, drank the water because she was bloodthirsty, drank the wine from the Nile, and then fell asleep. And then at that point, Ra removed the Sekhmet part of it, and there were the two that were created, Bastet and Sekhmet, which became separate deities. But that can also be chalked up to the merger of Upper and Lower Egypt. Isis and Hathor are said to be one and the same in some traditions, and one is said to be the mother and one is said to be the daughter. So you have all these different anomalies, but or all these different stories, I should say. But at the end of the day, though, here it is, the contendings of Set and Horus. Again, let me pull this up on my screen over here so I can see it better. Okay. So I told you guys a story of Isis and of Isis going around and going to Nephthys. Oh, Nephthys. This is interesting too. Nephthys is Isis's sister and was also the wife of Set. And there was a story where Nephthys had dressed up to look like Isis and had gotten to the bed of Osiris so she can have sex with Osiris. And Osiris was like, oh no, I can't recognize you. I thought you were Isis. Yeah, right. Anyways, so she fools him into having sex with him. And so Set became really, really, really jealous because his wife was banging his brother at that point. So there was a whole situation there before the whole kidnapping and putting into the thing and putting into the acacia and then burying his pieces into the acacia. So Isis, when she resurrected him, she went to Thoth again, and Thoth, in his great wisdom, told Isis how to resurrect Osiris and resurrected him, and she was missing the phallus, so she made a golden phallus for him, and then Osiris went to go rule the underworld, which I would say, if we're looking at consciousness, or perhaps we're looking at programs, because when I saw Isis at the Temple of Isis, when we did our ayahuasca ceremony there, she appeared to me as a program. And it was very clear she was a program. I remember looking and looking at the digital nature of what I was looking at and looking at the divine code and everything. And I was like, you're a program. And she's like, of course I'm a program. What do you expect? You're in the Matrix. I'm like, oh, well, of course. Of course it makes sense. But anyways, so I think that there were programs, right? So Osiris is kind of an underlying antivirus program, or program that does something, some kind of operating program that operates in the background in the underworld, for lack of a better term, where you have programs that operate up here. So Set has become so infected with this virus that it's become a malevolent program. The contendings of Horus and Set, let me get back to this real quick. An Egyptian manuscript from the 20th dynasty tells the much older story of the battle for control of the worlds between Horus, son of Osiris, and his uncle Set. The story, known as the Contendings of Horus and Set, is the account of the legal battle before the gods who is the rightful king of Egypt. Horus and Set both present their cases and then must prove themselves in a series of contests and battles, which are all won by Horus, who in the end is proclaimed king. The Contendings of Horus and Set is one version of what happened after Horus was born and Osiris descended to the underworld. Other myths describe how Isis hid her child from Set in the swamps of the Nile Delta, and Set searched for the boy to murder him. The popular tale of Isis is that the 7 scorpions is set during this time in depicting Isis going out at night to local towns to beg for food for herself and her son. There are other stories. That's why she's also the goddess of beggars as well, she's goddess of the aristocrats as well. So she transformed herself into a beggar, and then she found help from good people, and so she wanted to bless those people in exchange. In some versions of the story, Horus battles Set, defeats him, and drives him from the land, while in others, Set is killed. The Contendings of Horus and Set depict these battles as contests ordered by the gods. The majority of the 9 gods known as the Ennead, presiding decided that Horus was the rightful king, but Ra, the sun god, was not convinced, and the decision had to be unanimous. Ra believed that Horus was too young and that he had led a sheltered life to effectively rule, while Set had proven himself as capable, even if uneven monarch. Anyways, so we can move on from this here. But that was essentially the story of Set. So Set started to get, from the energies that we were reading, more and more and more jealous as things started to progress, and eventually wanted to be the one true king of Egypt, or the one true ruler of the Matrix, the one true god of the Matrix. Any way you want to look at it. I think these stories were told to the ancient Egyptians for a couple of different reasons. Number one, they were told in a way that they could understand them. If you told them, hey, we're living in a computer simulation, this is all programs, it's all computer code, there's all these different programs working against each other in the background, they wouldn't have known what the fuck you were talking about. But also, I think some of these stories were left behind by us, not us in particular, but by our team, our group of consciousness, so we can purposefully find them now in this incarnation. And it's like these memory hints that we left ourselves when we go through the wheel of reincarnation and the memory wipe, so we can understand when it comes time, hey, remember this, remember this, remember this. So before we went to Egypt in May of 2018, I didn't know anything about Egyptology. I mean, I'd had Chris Everard on the show a few times. I think we had John Anthony West on. And yeah, we did have John Anthony West on when we first started. An interesting story, Joe Rogan actually sent me a fan mail, and he said, hey man, I was listening to your John Anthony West interview, it was freaking awesome. I was like, yeah, you're Joe Rogan, right? Whatever. Okay, if you are, come on the show. And he's like, sure, let's do it. So he came on the show. It was pretty cool. But yeah, he wound up reaching out to us as a result of that story. But I have to be upfront. I don't really retain too much when I'm sitting here behind a microphone and I am working mixers and I'm working, all this stuff. I didn't have camera changers and stuff like that back then, but I can't really absorb that much information while I'm doing all of this. I mean, like right now with this concussion, I can barely even think straight. I hope that I'm being concise out there for you, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, so when we got there, we had purposefully gone with no map. Like we got to Giza, and we didn't even realize that the majority of the temples were 7 hours to the south. And that was a surprise when we got there. I knew there were some temples in the south, and I knew where the Temple of Isis was. It was way down in the south, like 10 hours south. But I didn't realize that the majority of the temples were in Luxor. Oops. But we just wanted the energies to just kind of open themselves for us. So we get there and we see the set energy and we're feeling the set energy and we're like, there's something to this set energy. And we already knew about the virus in the system. We knew that that was the adversary. Our ayahuasca experiences for the last 4 years leading into that were all leading into that. The revelation of the virus, understanding the child trafficking networks, understanding everything that goes on, everything to do with this virus, from the esoteric, the spiritual, from the background stuff to the physical stuff. I mean, it's all connected, in my opinion. The Yahweh virus that we talked about, which is religion, it's a mind virus, it's a mind control virus. Politics, to a certain degree, is a virus. Everything that separates us is this virus. Our fears are this virus. There's so many facets to this virus. But the deepest, darkest level and the deepest, darkest manifestation on the physical realm of what this virus is, it's the pizza-related stuff that we don't really talk about too much on this show, but we are very, very, very aware of it, and that is our entire mission, to remove this virus from the system. And that's why I'm so big on Trump, because I see him removing the virus from the system. But I'm not going to go off on Trump right now. So when we got to Abydos, we were on our way and we were driving there, and I want to play a couple of videos for you so you can kind of get an idea of what we were experiencing as we were going, with nothing in our minds, just our instincts. So I think this is the video here. Yeah, this is the one here. All right. Let me get this on the screen. So, as you can tell, we were pretty clued up to what we were there and what we were going to do there. Little did we know the extent of it. But as soon as we get there, we're live streaming, and I've got the live stream on my Facebook. Maybe I can pull it up. Maybe if we take a break. But we're live streaming, and we get to the Temple of Seti, which I didn't know it was called the Temple of Seti. All I knew was Abydos. And we weren't even planning to go, but Chris Everard was like, dude, you got to go to Abydos. Go to Abydos. Abydos is 3.5 hours into the desert. As a matter of fact, I can play this video in the background. This is inside of Abydos Temple. There's not really any interesting audio here. So I'll just leave that playing in the background. But we went 3.5 hours into the desert, and it was chilling. Like, we had to have police escort the majority of the way there, and we were stopping at these different checkpoints. I'm pretty sure we saw ISIS there, not the goddess ISIS, but the terrorist organization. There were all these guys standing around with AK-47s, and it was a really, really, really creepy sight. But we instinctively went out to the desert, and as soon as you walk in, it's dark. It is a dark, dark energy. It's a dark temple. And we started to touch the stones and pick up on the energetic readings. What was interesting, too, is on this live stream that we did, there's actually a temple of Osiris in the background. And this is where we were almost taken and murdered as well. Hopefully, I'll remember to talk about that here in just a second. But there is a temple of Osiris in the back. That this temple was built on top of the temple of Osiris. So the Osirian is way, way, way older. They decided they were going to build this on top, which I think also goes to show the battle between the Set and the Osiris energy, the Set and the Horus energy, and how Set wants to constantly overtake everybody. He wants to be the one at the front. He wants to be all, oh, look, there's Thoth. Thoth and Seti right there. I don't like that picture, though. It creeps me out with Seti there. Seti was a warlord, and there was like this whole esoteric thing behind what we were touching, the information that we were picking up and all this, and stargates and all kinds of stuff like that. I think we may actually, like, this video is about to go to one of the stargates here. I hope I'm not jumping around too much. There's Say Shot right there. Yeah, it was a really cool, that is Hathor. You can tell by the horns. There's more Say Shot. You can see, look, oh, I see on the screen here we got a donation. Thank you very much. I can't read who that is. I think it says Daniel. Thank you very much, Daniel. You can see they cut off, and this is a recurring theme throughout that temple. They cut out the faces. Now, the Christians went into the temple of Isis, and they completely cut out her face as well. The Christians didn't go to Abydos. Something happened, and they started cutting out the faces. Now, some of the Egyptologists I talked to down there were telling me that what they were doing is they were cutting the faces off and taking little stones and selling them as trinkets and saying, here, for good luck, here, take this stone, take this stone, take this stone. Yeah, there's Thoth again. Thoth appears a lot in this particular temple. It's pretty interesting. So I guess let me put this on full screen as we're talking, because there's no reason, you don't really need to see me. So we go down to this temple, and as soon on live stream, like before we even get in there, I start touching the stones, and I see red, and I see blood, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I touch another stone, and I see this face coming out, this aardvark or this taper coming out, and I guess I do need to put myself on the screen because I'm talking a lot with my hands, and I'm like, I just caught myself going, hey, they can't even see me. Like this face coming out. And there was this aardvark or taper face. It's kind of hard to tell what exactly Set is. But I was like, what the hell is this? And then I saw these sacrifices and these just horrors, these horrific energies. Like it was flashes. It was still shots and flashes of still shots. There was no motion. There was no video visions. They were flashes, and most importantly was the energetic reading. And then on the live stream, Cherie's like, hey, come here, check this out. She's like, hey, this is the Temple of Seti. Did you know that? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. And she's like, yeah, Seti's named after Set. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense now. So Set is this virus here. And this is going into some I'm trying to find it. This is going into some unorthodox and unsanctioned ideas about what this temple is. But we noticed these walls right here. Very, very, very interesting walls. It looked like this led somewhere. It looked like it was some type of gate. And we noticed these in several different parts of the temple. So what would you have a room like this with these seeming, what looks like doors here? It was really, really strange. And picking up on them energetically, there was nothing on the other side. There were just bricks. So it's not like it was a door that was sealed off that led to another room or something like that. No. This was the wall. And we find these rooms all over the temple. See, Cherie's freaked out. She's freaked out in that part because she's like, oh shit, it's all coming back to us. We're picking up the energies. We're picking up all of that. So these gates become important here in just a moment. I'm trying to get to this one particular room though. See, there's another gate. That's another one. What are these? These are stargates. And at one point, what happened is we were bringing in nuclear weapons, for lack of a better term. I mean, obviously, they probably weren't nuclear, but they were highly, highly, highly destructive weapons. We were bringing them back from another time. We were bringing back a mass amount of them. This temple right here, I guess I need to illustrate this really quick. Let me see if I can find this photo. This temple has some really interesting hieroglyphs. And this kind of like tied everything together in for us. So up on the ceiling, and this isn't even like right when you walk in, like you have to look at it. You have to see this. You have to be looking for this. And they actually pointed it out for us, but it was so high, it was difficult to understand. I mean, it was difficult to see. And I think it was only uncovered like just a few decades ago. So this is a fairly new hieroglyph. What does that look like to you right here? This with this here. Oh, we got another donation from Tom, I think it is. Thank you, Tom. Much love. This right here. Does that look like a helicopter to you? I think it's a helicopter. You see this ship right here as well. That's got a little futuristic, like it's almost like a 1950s depiction of what they would say a UFO would look like, or a spacecraft. You know, it's got the big oval body. It's got the cover there. This right here looks like a boat. I mean, it really does look like a boat. So you have these depictions of what seems like modern weapons or modern technologies in Abydos, which our hypothesis is that they brought them through the Stargates. And we were thinking maybe they brought them from another planet, but I think these were teleporters and time travel spaces where they were bringing stuff in from a current time, maybe even from a present time now. So it was really interesting that we found those. But there's this one room in particular. I'm trying to get to it here. Oh, this guy wouldn't stop fucking with us. I was like, dude, get the fuck away from me. And he's like, oh, do you want to do this? Do you want that? I'm like, dude, get the fuck away from me. I did not come from the other side of the world, drive 3 hours into the desert to fuck with you. I was trying to be nice, but I was like, get the fuck out. I was just like, get the fuck out. He was following us. It was fucking creepy. It was creeping me the fuck out. See, look at that. This fucking guy. So I'm like, get the fuck out of here. All right. Here comes the archaeologist. He's like, oh man, he's just doing his job. Watch it. And I'm like, well, dude, he's like stepping on my dick over here. Anyways, where's this room at? There's this room. I thought it was at the beginning of this video. There's a room that's off to the side. Oh, you know what? I think it's coming up here because I remember going this way to get to that room. Okay. So there were some cool hieroglyphs over here. But there's this one particular room. When we walked in, we were able to feel what was going on there. And when you look at the room, you could see exactly what was taking place in that room. We're about to walk in there. Let me take a puff of my e-cigarette real quick. Cherie's all freaked out. There were some other deeper revelations about ourselves and about what happened at Abydos, and we were like, holy shit. Like, if we're right about the energy that we're picking up on, holy shit, it changed the dynamic for us. So, okay. So we're about to walk into this room here. That's Ra-Harakti there. Here it is. This room right here had the energy. The creepy, creepy, creepy energy. Just watching the video gives me chills. What do you think happens in this room? Let me know in the comments in the chat real quick. Let me see if there's any interesting audio. So I don't know if you heard Cherie there, but she said the sacrifices were brought here. This happened here. This happened here. Here's the altar where this happened at. I'm trying to get a better picture of the room. Let me see if she's saying anything interesting. You hear that guy in the background following us still?
That energy that we've been fighting. This is the time when we fell into it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. See, we're talking about the set energy. I dropped our camera halfway there, and the autofocus was all jacked up. You can hear this little squeaking in it, like when we're in the pyramid. You can hear the little squeaking when we're doing the and all that. We didn't go there to film a documentary. We happened to get some good shots while we were there. Oh, look, there's a creepy face right there, too. I don't know. That's probably just... let me put it bigger on the screen here. You see that right here? That creeped me out even walking by. And I know that wasn't meant to be a face or anything like that, but doesn't it look like a creepy-ass face? Anyways, so we stumble into this room, and we realize what's going on in this room. This was a sacrifice room. And there were no reports at the time of Abydos having sacrifices. After we came back, there were reports coming out that Abydos, that Egyptologists believe that Abydos used to do sacrifices. So our theory on what happened is that, see, she's like, oh, it happened right here. I remember this. Our theory is what was going on is that we were bringing in the weapons from the other side, and we were giving them to Seti. At one point, we needed a warlord in power because there was an adversary out there that was even darker than anything that we did at Abydos. And this was the first manifestation of the virus itself, when the virus started to really get through into the matrix. And everything that happens energetically manifests physically. So what we came to realize is that there was a huge problem with grays, gray aliens, which have consequently been completely and totally out of the sphere for the last year or so, ever since we got Sekhmet and Bastet. Like Bastet's like right here protecting me. And we put our little Egyptian sun discs over our front door and back door. They haven't come at all. I had one encounter with them one time. And Bastet was sitting in front of the glass door, and she was watching them, and they were like standing outside, and it was like they couldn't even come into the house, and I haven't seen them since. But the grays started to take over, and that had to be kind of squashed a little bit. And they tried to squash the grays violently, and with the different type of weaponry and everything like that. So, there was this battle. The majority of Egypt was destroyed as a result. It used to be a tropical paradise. Now it's a burnt wasteland. And at one point, the gods decided, let's take our weapons, get out of here. Our job is done. Or maybe our weapons aren't working. It's just making the situation worse. Let's get out of here. So they took the weapons back through the stargates, shut down the stargates. What we noticed is a recurring theme of, and this wasn't only in this temple, this was in several other temples and several other places, and especially in the tombs, we see these gates. In some of the tombs, they're really well decorated and very intricate. Here, not so much so. But what we speculate or postulate is that these at one point had a Stargate technology in them. And that's how the weapons were coming through. And I mean, time travel or whatever. I don't know. It had some technology that allowed them to come through. And what the ancient Egyptians did once the weapons were removed and all of the interdimensional beings left is they tried to bring them back. Because Seti was now using the weapons against people. And we were like, no, you can't use them against people. And he's like, well, I've got them, so I'm gonna. So in an effort to try to recreate the gate, which is a technology, it would be in the same manner as a caveman getting a boulder and carving out a car, and then getting in the driver's seat and expecting it to run. Like, the caveman understands what it looks like and can sculpt one out of stone, but it doesn't understand the inner workings of it. It doesn't understand the combustion engine inside of it. It doesn't even understand that it has an engine, doesn't understand the electrical parts, doesn't understand the batteries or anything else. So what they did is they created replicas of the gates to try to reopen them. Of course, they never opened. They never opened in any locations. But they tried to create them out of stone over and over and over again. Let me take another quick puff of my e-cigarette. So, what they did within this particular sacrifice room, and this is also another way that these sacrifices made their way into Egypt, because Egypt was not about sacrifices. Nobody told the Egyptians to sacrifice anything at all, period. Human sacrifices especially. This is where we tie into the virus now. This is where we tie into pizza-related stuff, right here in Abydos. We suspect that what they were doing is they were bringing human victims in here under the instructions of the quote-unquote priests, who were essentially scientists back then. And they noticed that when the gates opened, they made a particular noise. They made a particular frequency and a resonance. And everything in Egypt is built around frequency and resonance. And they know with different frequencies and resonance, they can get a certain reaction. So in an effort to try to open these stone gates that they have carved for themselves, they started to sacrifice people. For two reasons. Number one, the blood. That didn't work. So they started to use the screams and the yells, and generating the screams and the yells of the victims, which I suspect that the gates, when they opened up, that's the way they sounded, like the screams and yells of the victims. And so they did this over and over and over, sometimes multiple people at a time, in an effort to try to create the resonance and the sound to open those gates. Of course, they failed. But when we had this revelation, we were struck down with revelation and disbelief as to what happened here at Abydos. And it's no wonder this is Set's temple. It's no wonder it's the virus's temple. It's where the beginning of the pizza-related stuff started, right here in Abydos. Whew. I need to take a quick break because this shit is getting deep. So let me play a quick clip and we will be right back.
Open the pod bay doors, please.
All the conflict.
My dear traveler, the purpose of raw consciousness is never to destroy. It is always to create. Build bridges. Create happiness. And bring forth new life. We must live in the hope that mankind will draw together. And that we better understand each other. The more that we awaken, the easier this will become. Now rise. Follow your conductors. And fear no danger. As you step beyond the veil.
All right. Can you point your camera down just a little bit?
Yes.
All right. Mrs. Geo has decided to join us. Let me see if I can fix this real quick.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. All right. So, I thought you weren't going to be on the show today because you were hurting too bad.
I am, but I really am, but at the same time, sometimes the show must go on, and sometimes you leave your shoes in a room where if you want to go get a massage, you have to put them on, and I left my shoes in this room, so
shame,
couldn't go anywhere.
Shame.
So, but while I was waiting for the door to open, I started listening to the show and going back and forth.
Isn't that what it's all about, though? Waiting for the door to open.
Aw. Yes, waiting for the door to open. And it seems like when we were there at Abydos, the doors of our perception were very much open. It was a lot like there's this scene in Travelers where they give him a drug that makes him remember things better. And he's a historian, so he remembers things pretty vividly anyway. But it makes memory flood in, he says, like it's a hurricane or a tidal wave. And it felt like that. It felt like that in Abydos. It felt like a tidal wave of memory and emotion and things that we hadn't ever considered, before. And it brought a whole new layer to the entire trip, to the entire journey, to this entire incarnation, to the last 10,000 years of incarnations. It changed a lot. And I remember sitting outside and thinking, okay, well, what now? Where do we go from here? These were such huge revelations that we had to kind of take a break for a few hours. And I remember sitting out there for quite some time, pretty much in silence. But did Sekhmet move my camera?
She did.
She did, didn't she?
Our kitties are in the studio.
There's Bastet back there.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember not even knowing really what to say because these revelations were so powerful and so true. You could feel it in your bones that it was true, what you were seeing and what you were experiencing. Now, when we went into that sacrificial room, that was when things started to get really dense in that. Energetically, it felt like, how they talk about a black hole and how a black hole is it's not really a hole. It's a point at which everything is so dense that it's condensed down to one little tiny dot. And it felt like that. It felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room when we went into that place. Even though it's an open air temple, for lack of a better word, I don't even know if I would qualify this as a temple considering the things that happened there. But this place was open air and it still felt muggy and like you couldn't breathe in there. It was all life was not able to exist in this room. Does that make sense? It was like that room radiated death.
It was a creepy room.
Yeah.
I mean, no doubt about it. And that's where the sacrifices first started. I think maybe they did create a gateway, but they created a gateway, a negative gateway. They were trying to open the stargates, but they wound up opening something else that they didn't even understand what they were opening, which has then emanated throughout. But do you remember when we were driving to the desert? And number one, we noticed this recurring theme. Every time we'd go to a temple and do our little rituals and things like that, we would get rain coming back down on us. Let me see if I can find the rain. Yeah, this is just on the way back from Abydos. And when we got back, it was like storming. But they were like, it hasn't rained here in 15 years. 15 years we haven't seen rain.
Yep.
But it rained in Abydos on the day that we went out there, turned on the live stream, and asked everybody to focus their energies on cleansing it. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty interesting in and of itself.
And then what happened after everybody got together and the rain started and the temple started to be cleansed? The AI decides, okay, well, I'm going to hijack the consciousness of this NPC right here that's holding this gun and try to kill these two. I mean, have you explained to them yet?
No. I did briefly, but why don't you tell the story? I was going to pull up the clip, but it's on my Facebook somewhere, and it's all, I'll probably include that in the, but there's no way to get it on my computer.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah. But yeah, it was very strange. A man who looked like some kind of soldier or some kind of peacekeeper came up to us while we were exiting out that south entrance. I think you had the camera point right there. Yeah, we were going out that. Oh, there it is. We were going out that back entrance, and this guy came up to us and said, "Do you want to see King Tut's tomb?" And we said, King Tut's tomb? Are you sure it's King Tut's tomb? Because King Tut's tomb, I think that's in, where was that, Luxor or Karnak or something?
It's next to Hatshepsut's temple.
Yeah, it's next to Hatshepsut's temple. It's not even anywhere near here. And so we were confused, but we thought, okay, maybe he doesn't speak English very well and he doesn't, he's got the wrong names for things, but we didn't think much of it. And he started getting out to... He said, let's go this way, and he's pointing towards the desert, and it just looks like a desert. It doesn't even look like there's anything down there, but we figure, okay, maybe he's taking us over a small hill, and then we'll see the tomb. And we started getting this really weird feeling, pretty much right off the bat, but it wasn't until we got out a little ways and we were walking, and I started getting the very distinct feeling like we were about to die. Like something very major, very drastic was going to happen very fast, and that we were basically walking towards our death. And Chris is feeling the exact same way. Can you continue the story? Because I'm having trouble remembering.
I think I might have found the video here. I don't know. There's so many. Everyone, Kristen Cherie Gio here, coming to you from beyond the veil once again. We are here at Abydos. Oh yeah, this is it here. I have to say, this is definitely the set headquarters. The energy here is insanely dark. Oh, and all Brooks Agnew style with the hats. Anyway, dark, dry, arid. I mean, this is a bad place. Hopefully we'll find what we're looking for here. I brought some brew with me to do a little ceremony, but there's no way in hell. Like, I don't think I could take the energy. I already feel like I'm out of breath. I already feel like Okay, yeah, let me show you guys. She has to go to the bathroom? They're yelling at us. And I'm like, oh, she has to go to the bathroom. Alright, let me fast forward a little bit. There's a lot of wind. Trying to get to the part where...
Yeah, we're just walking around the temple and getting on there photos and videos.
I think it might have been another live stream. So why don't you keep talking and I'll look for it.
And so Chris turns around and he leans in and he's like, "Hey, I want you to stay way back there, okay?" And that's all he had to do. I mean, he didn't even really have to say that, because at that point I was already kind of freaked out and thinking the exact same thing. Like, okay, what's going on here? We need to stay as far away from this dude as possible because he doesn't feel like good energy. Then I look down and I've still got the live stream going, and I'm doing that deliberately because if anything happens to us while we're on the live stream, I want the world to know about it and to know what happened to us and to be able to, get something done to avenge us quickly. But I felt like whatever happens, it needs to be on tape.
Oh my God, I found the video and it's just creeping me the fuck out.
Oh, there he is. Oh, he's a creep. Already, people.
Go ahead. You hear that?
It's a dangerous situation, guys. We're trying to get back to our taxi driver. Oh, scary.
The fucking Muslim call to prayer in the background on top of everything.
That would have been the last thing we heard.
That's
I would
the
have been
Muslim
pissed
call
if
to
that would have
prayer.
been the last music I ever heard. Sorry, go ahead.
No, people in the chat are asking what's that noise.
I'm getting hot. I want to go in.
We're like, let's get the fuck out of here.
I'm not used to
That guy is not a good guy. He's dangerous.
Did you see the distance between me and Cherie though? Mm-hmm. That was, you stay back there. If anything happens, at least I have a chance to grab the gun from him.
Replayability said it sounds like demons screaming. Oh, you have no idea.
Abdu, our light in the darkness.
What we thought,
Good
anyway.
to see you, Abdu. Thank you. Here, let me give some bakshish.
Bakshish.
Bakshish. It's all about the bakshish.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. No. The Temple of Hatshepsut, though, that was the screaming demons. If you want to hear screaming demons, that's the one to listen to, because we were attempting to brew ayahuasca on the roof, and they decided to start up with that in the middle of the night. I think it was about 3:00 in the morning. Yeah.
Here's some chat afterwards. Hold on, let's see. I haven't watched any of these at all, period.
I know,
They give me, I have like PTSD still from the whole thing.
me too.
Like the whole Egypt thing altogether.
It's been 2 years.
0, 1, 0, 9.
Oh, he's doing an ad.
Just escorting us.
We've had escorts before. This was one by himself. We're all by ourselves. There's not a single tourist here except for us.
God, I was like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man back then. This is the most interesting temple
I look like a corpse that we've been in.
Oh, is there a problem now?
No, they're waiting for
The police escort. Oh, okay. Yeah, then we have to
had
be
like 5 police
escorted by the police on the way back.
Yeah, down the road, but we have to wait for the police.
I thought we were talking. Let's see. Water.
Yeah, we.
Manipulate the future.
Oh, you guys.
There's one of two things going on with this temple, and I gotta figure out what the context is. Either everybody decided to turn to the dark side for one go around and see what happens, or these are just scrawled misdirections in order to misdirect and try to manipulate the future, which is now, or future past, but now it's relevant. It's most relevant.
Right.
So I don't know how much of this is true. I don't know how much of it is misdirection. But the thing is, when the stones are radiating the same energy as the hieroglyphs, then there's an issue there.
Yeah.
And there was a war. There were weapons used that were not of this plane. They came in through the Stargate. And everybody was behind it. Everybody. All right, so I don't even know what is on there, so I'm gonna skip that because it's been so long since we've watched that. However, It was crazy.
It was
freaking
crazy.
insane. Yeah. People in the chat were saying, hey, Chris, you lost a lot of weight since then. And I did.
You
And I
have.
lost even more. Then I gained some after this freaking lockdown. However, I realized why this was the case. I needed that weight in order to be able to do the 400 grams of mimosa that I did in the pyramid. I don't think I would have survived if I didn't. And so in hindsight, it all made sense. But, man, yeah. I'm glad I'm not like that anymore. Ugh, I feel better. So, about Set, anything that you wanted to add?
I think there's been a lot of misconception about Set, and I want to say my feelings about Set are that Set was created to be the counterbalance to the Osirian aspect, and that was his role. He had a very important role to play, and he was part of that negative side of the duality that exists in everything and everyone in this reality. And he reneged on that. He abandoned that and decided, I want to be all, and I want to have all as far as power and things like that. And so he merged with this virus. Now, the difference between the virus and, the regular duality that exists in everything, which is a natural part of the reality, is that the virus creates paradoxes and system errors, such as the idea of pedophilia, for instance. You do not love, that's not loving a child to do things sexually to it. That's not love. And yet we use the word pedophilia, which means loving children. That's just one tiny example of what the virus does. What the virus does is it takes something beautiful and pure and special and unique, and then it twists it up and it mangles it to where it's almost unrecognizable, and then it calls that beautiful and art and things like that.
That's a good point. I mean, when you look at some of the pizza-related art, that's exactly what they depict. Mm-hmm. It's the destruction of innocence and the destruction of beauty that they then transform into their vision of beauty, which to us looks horrific and and gory, and it makes us cringe backwards and want to throw up. And it's like it does the opposite for them.
Right.
That's interesting. I see that we've got some donations with some questions from those donations. I just want to say we're going to get to those here in just a few moments. So,
and I just want to say that I think it's interesting that they're connecting Set's symbol. I mean, it's basically Set's face with a COVID-19 mobile testing facility. I don't know what these tests actually do. I don't know if they actually test for COVID-19. I don't know if they give people brain chips. I don't know what these things do, but if they're connected to the Set energy, if they've baptized it, basically, they've anointed it with Set energy by putting that on there. And by putting that on there, they've already energetically tainted it. And we know which direction that goes. And so there's obviously something there. And I think it's interesting that
it's interesting that on COVID-19, the testing vans, we see Set.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it underlines everything that we were talking about in Egypt when we said the virus is Set.
Yep.
We're going to the desert to confront Set. We're going to throw the gauntlet down and tell them, hey, it's war now. We're taking this matrix back.
And then as we're leaving the pyramid, we're not even trying, but as we're leaving the pyramid, we catch something on the graffiti that we don't even see for 2 years. And Chris is going to pull that up now, but this was completely coincidental, had nothing to do with anything we were working on or anything at the time. But along with this Set being on the COVID-19 van, we also got COVID right there on the Great Pyramid of Giza as we're leaving. Mission accomplished. And then here you go.
Yeah.
It's just, it's astounding to me.
I thought that was creepy.
I thought so too.
So they're pressing us. We're
And
not
even,
only beyond the veil, but we're also beyond our time too.
This was right when we were coming down off the ayahuasca, so
More updates here soon. From the king's chamber.
So, yeah. Of course, creepy music. Yay for creepy music. We gotta make it fun.
yeah, we do. But what are the odds? Even if that's not all the graffiti says, what are the odds that we would pause it right? I mean, that we would like pull it like that to where my face is juxtaposed right next to COVID.
I think it was a sign.
I think it was too.
It was a sign like, look, hey, when you see this, you're going to know you're at the next level. And then taking it another sign, here, now you know what you're dealing with here. I mean, we already knew what we were dealing with, but it's right there.
Well, and there's a few misconceptions to somebody saying, no, I think it might not be a Set, it might be Anubis. No, Anubis is a dog, and that is definitely not a dog's nose.
No. This company is called Aardvark.
Yeah, it's Aardvark.
It's supposed to be an aardvark. And if you look at it a little bit, I mean, you can see how kind of, sort of. I mean, hold on, I don't think I can zoom in on it anymore. Oh, I'm zooming on the wrong screen. Hold on. All right, you can see here, it's, you got the little aardvark face, and it's supposed to be like the legs standing there, like the aardvark's looking at you with the little snout sticking down. But no, that's Set.
Yeah, that's Set. Because Set's not even a real creature. In Egyptian lore, he was kind of a cross between an aardvark and a jackal.
See?
Yeah, he was an aardvark and a jackal. This is definitely Set. You know, he's like a mythical kind of creature, a chimera. So...
Yeah. No disputing it.
Yeah, there's no disputing that. No, it's
especially
not
with all the deep connections that have to do with the virus. With the virus and the Matrix reset.
Yeah.
So here's a depiction of him actually on the wall there.
Yeah, as above, so below. As above, so below. As above, so below.
I mean, even when I look at the hieroglyphs, I have to look really, really, really careful because Set and Anubis do look similar.
They do look very similar.
But they're not similar. They're not the same, though. They're not the same.
No. And no, Anubis doesn't mean death and destruction. That's another part of that duality. Death is just as much of a part of life as birth. And human beings have always had a hard time dealing with that unless they can see both as equally important parts of life.
Hold on. Bo Gus says, I see Muhammad in Arabic. I thought there were some Arabic words there, but I don't read Arabic. So, yeah, if that's what that Arabic says, that's even... What
did it say?
Muhammad. Yeah. Right next to it, to the left, there was that... It looked like some weird...
Arabic writing.
Yeah.
That's... Wow. The... Death is not a bad thing, but what... And Set represents death. Anubis represents protection during the point after death and before you go to the weighing of the heart ceremony. In that time, Anubis is the being that accompanies you and protects you from the various sinister aspects. Really, and that actually is your own consciousness. It's your own dark side. It's your own demons, your own personal demons that you deal with. That's what Anubis is for, to protect you from that and to, help you through that afterlife process. He's not about death. He's about protection. Set is about death and destruction. And destruction itself is also not a bad thing. there's a proverb that says, "He who cannot destroy cannot create," and destruction is an important creative process too. So duality is not the enemy here. The virus is the enemy.
That's a very good point. So the testing stations, they're testing to see who's infected with the virus. Simple as that. And I think you can see who's infected with the virus very clearly, and that's whoever's walking around with a mask on. Some of us are forced to walk around with a mask on. I don't like to do it. I have my protest masks that you can find over at btvtribe.com. If you want a protest mask, you can get one. That's the only way that I will wear one, but we've got a couple of new ones here. One is for my very dear friend. We have the muzzled one. I showed Cherie that one, and she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did that." And I'm like, "Well, she wanted it, so a muzzled one." Of course, we have the new censored ones. These are some new ones here. And then we have our typical ones up here, like this mask is as useless as our governor. Live free, with marked out live in fear. This is, I think, more paranormal portal type stuff. But I thought that was pretty cool. And then my favorite up here, Covidiots. This world is run by Covidiots under duress. 1984, hiding from Biden. Kung Flu. I'm looking forward to getting that one so I can sport that one. And this is one of my favorite here too. This product is a nerd loop mask and doesn't provide any protection against COVID because, if you're going to wear it, you might as well say it. And this one is the favorite for the ladies out there, the wolf in sheep's face masks, because there are little wolves out there.
Oh, that one is really cute.
Yeah, you can get that at btvtribe.com and use btvtribe at checkout for free shipping. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like the face masks because there are some times when you just have to, because there's this one place that we like to get bread and protein shakes and things like that from, and they have this mask policy, and I do it because I want to support the business, not because I am afraid of a virus or anything like that. And I like to be able to express how I feel about wearing a mask if I have to wear a mask. Does that make sense?
Masks. I hate masks.
Because what they want you to do is get mad about the masks and then refuse to provide any kind of patronage of all of these small businesses that are forced by the government to force people to wear masks. So you're depriving them of that revenue, which will put them out of business, which will keep Walmart and Target and all the other big businesses in business. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
That's the whole point of that. So
that makes sense. So let's go to a couple of questions from the chat room. I guess I want to take a quick break though, because I need to turn the AC on because it's hot in this studio. Do you remember when we had a studio and no AC? We had the window units.
And we had the window unit. Yeah,
that was horrible.
That was really bad. Yeah.
And then at our last house, they installed AC, and we were so excited because up there in the Pacific Northwest, AC is not a given. And growing up in Texas, you just assume everywhere has AC, but you don't ask those questions. When we moved into our last house, I looked at the ducts and I was like, "Oh, cool, central air." And then come summertime, we go to turn it on. Nope, no central air, just heat. And the landlord, luckily,
was nice enough to
install it for us. So.
Yeah. I have to say, my back's killing me, so I think I might head out and
hold on.
Hold
on. We only have 3 questions to go through.
Oh,
so
okay.
I just want to go through these because I want to get your take on the questions too. So let me play this real quick, and we will be right in relation to Set.
Yaldabaoth in relation to Set. Well, first of all, we're talking about 2 completely separate cultures that are attempting to use the, admittedly brainwashed kind of things that they were taught to explain an idea. And that idea is this.
Well, I don't think you necessarily have to say brainwash stuff. I mean,
Well,
it's scripts. They're scripts.
Scripts, there we
That's
go.
why they're called scriptures,
Scripts.
because they're scripts.
Yeah, the scripts
Yeah, computer scripts.
are okay. Their script is a different computer language. This is a better way of putting it. It's a different computer language than the Egyptian script. And the Egyptian script basically has it to where there's a father god instead of Yahweh. You have kind of a Osirian kind of thing going on. For Jesus, you have for Jesus you have Horus, and then as far as Yaldabaoth versus Set, it's flipped on its head and twisted around to where the
I can jump in.
Can you please explain?
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
So, in my humble opinion, what we're seeing with Yaldabaoth is the amalgamation of several different aspects and entities that all culminate into the exact same thing that Set is, which is I am the one true God. I am the all. Nothing else exists except for me, and an attempt to erase all of the other energies. And if you look at human history, where we went the worst is when we went from pantheon into monotheism. Monotheism has brought so many horrors upon this matrix. It's not even funny because it's an infected script, and it's a script that's not complete. Like, religion represents consciousness and the aspects of our own consciousness. So there's some good programs for the NPCs to run, to not kill each other, to not kill us, especially the organic consciousness that are in the game. But monotheism is a virus-infected script, and it runs in the minds of the NPCs, which cause them to do horrible things to everybody up and down the line. I mean, the worst countries in the world are theocracies based on a monotheistic religion. Egypt, for example. Oh man, people were saying, what was that sound in the background? That was the Muslim call to prayer that was invasive. I mean, we were up drinking we were making ayahuasca up on this roof, and we were looking at the Temple of Hatshepsut, and she was across the Nile, and we can see the Nile, and we were up literally all night long. And then Muslim call to prayer starts banging and banging and banging. I mean, it was horrible. I might actually be able to bring up this video here in just a second, but it's intrusive. It's insistent upon itself. And so that's what gets in the minds of these NPCs. Even the mask thing in and of itself, that's a virus program. But going back to Yaldabaoth, I think Yaldabaoth is just another representation, because ultimately it all has to do with consciousness, but it's a representation of the consciousness, the ego, the ego part of the consciousness, and not a healthy ego either, but a very destructive one. What do you think?
I wonder though, because if you look at look at things from a timeline view, it seems like Yaldabaoth came before the Egyptian pantheon, and the reason why I say that is because I think Sophia. This is what caused the whole problems with Atlantis, and the whole fall of Atlantis was caused by Sophia, and a virus being uploaded to Sophia. When at the time that this happened, it was more like I hate to put it this way, but it was more like a mixture of nature and goddess worship. It was worship of one's own consciousness, and it was knowledge of one's own consciousness. And then when the virus was uploaded, so a byproduct of that virus was Yaldabaoth, and it was some kind of half-baked attempt by Sophia to create something of her own, because the parameters that prevented her from creating something that she wasn't told to create, something that she wasn't instructed to create, was outside of her parameters before. Then when the virus was uploaded, it gave her the ability to create, and she created Yaldabaoth as her attempt at creation. That
She wrote her own program.
Yeah, she started writing her own program.
Yeah.
And when she realized that this was a
And
bad
then she
thing,
hid it in the cloud.
She hid it in the cloud, from the
server.
programmers, so we couldn't find it.
Right.
And then that kind of necessitated the fall of Atlantis and all of the problems that erupted because of that. That was why the Pantheon was created.
All right,
I believe that.
Let me play this video real quick so you can. It illustrates what I'm talking about here. Hey everyone, Chris Gio here. It's 3:45 a.m. Listen to this ridiculousness. I have no fucking idea what the fuck is going on.
The AI's attacking.
The AI is pissed with what we're about to do tomorrow. And you can hear this. It's been going on all fucking night. It's infuriating. We're here on this rooftop, and
That was awful.
we're preparing for tomorrow. There's Hatshepsut's temple right there.
And instead of being able
Listen to this. It sounds like some kind of fucking horror movie.
Yeah, instead of being able to play music, we've got this. That was scary, actually. Shut up.
Like, can somebody explain this to me? Like, what logic is this to be blaring this at 3:45 in the morning?
The only thing I can
I mean,
is that the AI is super pissed.
it sounds like it, huh?
It sounds like it's super pissed.
It's like a freaking air raid attack. Doesn't it sound like it?
It sounds like an Islamic air raid siren.
Right. The moon is... We came on the crescent moon.
And now it's a full moon.
It's getting to be full.
Which, there's a story about that. Can I come over there? There's actually a story about that in Egyptian mythology. So, back when
It sounds like demons.
it sounds like demons that are rallying demons.
This is what we're up against.
This is what we're up against, you guys. This is how it is. This is the reality here.
We were shocked, and people and the chat are asking where this is. This is in Egypt. This is in Luxor.
The FBI news sounded.
We've got the temple on one side, and we've got the Nile on the other. And it's 3:45 in the morning.
Islamic wake up. This is Islamic wake up. This is disgusting.
I mean, who the hell is behind this? And why?
Who is doing this? I told him earlier, I said, I would like to get a freaking sniper rifle and just take out whoever's doing this because it's disgusting.
And poor Hatshepsut.
She has to deal with this.
She's had to
every
deal
night.
with this. Here.
Yeah, God, you guys. It is mental torture. It is. It really is. This is so not right. It was 3:00 in the morning. There was no reason for this whatsoever. So people who are saying, "Oh, it's not that
They're
bad.
just
It's not
imams
scary."
calling
No,
the prayer
it was
on the microphone.
surrounding us.
Why would they be calling
every
the prayer on
side.
the microphone at 3:45 in the morning? This is what they did in warfare. Honestly, they did it to exhaust the enemy. Yeah, look at us. Look at our eyes. We are exhausted. We've been literally up all night, taking shifts.
It's coming from several places.
It's coming from like
So there's
8 different
one coming
places.
over there, one coming from over there, one coming from over there.
Blast! You need a PA to blast some tool back at them. I'm seriously about to get my computer out and start playing Waterbone as loud as I can fucking play it. They're on crack.
So it kind of goes on like
Yeah,
that.
it was bad. It was
But
really bad.
okay, so back to my point, and I probably drug it out a little too long, but my point is that this is what this is a theocracy here.
Mm-hmm.
It's imposing. 3:45 in the morning, we're going to impose our shit over you. It's like we live in a digital age, you know? Text message. Got a
Yeah.
call to prayer? Text message. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I got...
Nice.
Yeah. Text message. Simple.
Yeah. There is no legitimate reason why in 2020 there should be people that feel like they need to impose any of their will on anyone else for any reason. I mean, we live in an age where we can leave each other alone and everything will be fine. It's still a place where there's people that want to be left alone and people who won't leave them alone, and there's no other kinds of people. And it's always been like that, and I think it'll always be like that. But getting back to this Yaldabaoth versus Set.
Well, the Lilith energy.
And the Lilith
too.
energy.
What's the Lilith
okay, so the
energy?
Lilith energy is what happens when you deny a female the ability to be self-regulating, to be self-deciding, and to also be equal in worth and in authority in a relationship. That was the Gnostic take on equality between the sexes. However, what the Hebrews did, which was different than straight up Kabbalah, and it's different than straight up Judaism, what they did was they turned her into a demon, and they basically made it to where it was not only bad to want equality in a relationship and things like that, but not just that, but demonic to want that. And then they attached that demonic entity to whatever happened, especially if something happened to their kids, if their kids got sick or whatever, Lilith took them. I don't think Lilith has all that much relevance in the grand scheme of things, though. I think Yaldabaoth and Set, of course, have way more relevance. But as far as that's concerned, the best comparison that I can make would be Kali. Kali is a lot like that, and that Kali energy I saw one time in a very, very great ayahuasca experience, and she came to me, she came to me just smiling at first, and she had the heads, of bad guys, holding their hair, and I said, "Oh, I see Lilith." And Chris said, "Well, tell her hi." And I said, "I don't want to. She's kind of scary." And at that point, I closed my eyes, and her face came right up to mine, and she stuck her tongue out at me like, "Ah." And I was like, "Ah." And then I realized, oh, she's playful. She's being playful with me. She's trying to tell me, I'm not after you. I don't hurt good people. I only hurt bad people. I only act out when I need to. I only protect when I need to protect. I don't act in a violent manner if that's not necessary. And then you see the same thing with Sekhmet, for instance, where there's this very fierce, aggressive, I will rip you to shreds and leave your entrails on the sand with Sekhmet. But she's also very loving, she's very protective, and she only acts like that when it's necessary. So I think that's what the Lilith aspect is more about than anything else.
Right on. A couple more questions, and then I think I'm going to go get a massage with you because I'm freaking hurt too.
Yeah.
Tom S. asked, how can I start on the path of knowledge that you guys are on? I would answer that by saying that we each have our own individual paths. So I can help we here at Beyond the Veil can help shine lights on doors, but each person's path is different. And that's what makes Beyond the Veil so wonderful, is that we learn from our audience just as much as they learn from us. So it's a really, really different dynamic here. You just have to go towards what you're called, in my humble opinion. Ayahuasca helps, but it's not for everybody. Somebody asked me the other day if they could do ayahuasca alone or DMT alone. And I said, well, no is the best answer, but I mean, of course you can, for instance, Emma's in the chat. She does ayahuasca by herself all the time.
Yeah.
But there's so many different factors. You have to consider your mental state, your background, how much of a grip on consciousness you have, your fear factor. If you've jumped out of an airplane, or if you're like a roller coaster junkie, you're probably going to do okay with ayahuasca, because you have that adrenaline rush and you've got that fear factor of being disconnected and everything like that. But with the right dose and the right recipe, it feels like you're dying in a good way, not a bad way. It's not like scary, but it's scary if you are like really ego based and you haven't let go of your ego, because it kills the ego. So there's a death process that goes along with it. But so it's one of those questions that, in my opinion, is individual to you. What are you called to do? But if you're here, you're probably on your path already. So I think you've already begun your path.
Not everyone's mission is 100% the same. Even people that are in the same relationship, even me and Chris, we have different needs when we go into an ayahuasca experience. Most of the time we have different needs. And then what happens is those needs are addressed. And then we start to come together with the secondary need, which is the connection that we make with each other. And then it's usually a really great last couple hours where everything just feels amazing. And so
it does. So do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So that's it with the set energy. I think that it's, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's really interesting that Set's making an appearance. I think we're going to see more and more and more Set energy coming to the surface, because M was actually describing to me her experience, and next time we do a show, I definitely want to have her on to talk about it. But she was saying basically what we were saying, which is the virus has to come up to the surface in order for it to be eliminated, and that's exactly what's happening right now. She had mentioned that Isis is working to remove the virus, and that's very true. What we did in Egypt, part of it, and again, I want to do this film, and I've sat down and I've tried, I just don't know how to put this story together, because it's so big. Like, it has to do with the pizza related stuff.
Yeah.
It has to do with ayahuasca. It has to do with what happened in Egypt.
It's all one thing.
And now it has to do with what's going on right now in 2020. So like, how do you put all this together? It's that's where I'm stuck at the most.
It's like my
Haska
timelines,
sent the donation.
yeah.
Haska, thank you, brother.
Thank
he
you,
sends
Haska.
regular donations.
Yes,
so
he
extra
does.
thank you,
So
brother.
Thank you.
M was saying that Isis is the antivirus that's working to remove the virus. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. When we were in the temple of Isis, I saw her as a program, but I knew that I needed to take that script from the temple of Isis, and we needed to take it and transfer it in the water, in the Nile water. Like instinctively I knew, go jump in the Nile before you go to the temple of Isis. And I had Abdu take me in the middle of the night, and I jumped in the Nile, and he's like, what are you doing? You're crazy. I'm like, dude, I got to do this. And the Nile was dirty down there, but I still did it anyways. We took Nile water. We went to Isis's temple. We cleansed the altar with Nile water first and foremost. We blessed our ayahuasca there on the temple. It's even more interesting. Let me see if I can pull up this picture real quick, because I just saw it fly by. Okay, so we had some leftover ayahuasca from the temple of Isis that we took with us to the Great Pyramid. But this right here is a picture of us making the brew before going into the pyramid. This all ties in together. If you notice, we're actually on a boat, and the water line of the Nile is right there, because this part of the boat is in the water. So we actually made the ayahuasca for the pyramid underneath the Nile water line, which is why I think it rained for 3 days after we activated the pyramid. It rained at the temple of Hatshepsut, and it stormed that night. It rained in Abydos, everywhere we were going, because what we were doing is we were taking the Isis energy, which exists within the water, and we were going and cleansing everything, and it was just naturally coming down. But we, at the Temple of Isis, we took the Nile water with us from the Temple of Isis all the way to the Great Pyramid, which is all the way up north. And when we got there, we cleansed the sarcophagus and everything with the Nile water as well. So we took Isis, her essence, which is in the water,
Back
and we
to her
took
temple.
it back to the pyramid, and we reunited Isis and Osiris. Once the two unions came together, the antivirus was able to unlock and activate. It needed those two components, and it needed somebody capable of carrying those scripts back to the Great Pyramid to send them up to the 13th to bring it back down as the antivirus starts to unfold. Em was talking about how she saw a lot of this in her ayahuasca experiences too, and that we need to sit back right now. And forgive me if I'm misquoting you, Em, but this is just from the little bit that I picked up from your text message, that we need to sit back and just let Isis do her work right now, and that's it. And I feel the same way, and I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, me too. And I think M was one of the oracles, maybe one of the oracles at Delphi. The oracle at Delphi was a position that was held by probably about 200 women over the years. And M, you could have been one of them. And that's why you feel so at home being in the ayahuasca realm every single night. I couldn't do that. Personally, I couldn't drink ayahuasca every night. But there are some people who that's their mission. You know, that where you need to be. And I'm really, really glad that we have you doing that for us, because that is a really important part of all this, is to get people's perspectives and experiences and what they're getting from these realms and what they're getting from their real life experiences and what they're getting from their real life experiences. And it's all one thing, like Chris said. It's all one thing. Everything's connected. We thought when we were doing the pizza related film, we thought it was all related to that, and that was it. And then we realized it wasn't.
Yeah, Lisa Truth Seeker sent a donation. Thank you, Lisa. Again, another regular contributor to the show. She said, I discovered why the hoax and chaos distractions hold on, let me see. I discovered why the hoax and chaos distractions, meteor showers in September due to hit Earth and change the map without California and Washington State, plus divide former Mississippi River and up. I'm heading to Arkansas Forest Cave. I'm familiar with this, and I've heard this pretty regularly throughout my time, that there would be an event that separates California, takes out Washington, separates the Mississippi as well. Edgar Cayce was the one that channeled these maps, and they call them the Edgar Cayce maps. I haven't seen any of it obviously come to pass, but now that we're in 2020, I have to look at everything and go, okay, I have to re-examine literally everything that we've heard over and over and over again, because everything that we thought was going to happen that never happened up to this point is happening now,
right?
Including the story that I heard about 5 suitcase nukes being detonated in several different cities, Dallas, Chicago, a few other cities like that. Remember, we've been hearing this story every October from 2009, probably before 2009. So I'm even looking and expecting something like that. I mean, we wanted to do a show about the weather underground, and we never got around to it. The thing is, with Beyond the Veil, we're more like esoteric, and then people get mad when we talk about physical.
Right.
But the weather underground were a group of Democrats who hijacked everything back in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s.
Yep.
And they were detonating bombs and doing all of this. Bill Ayers was one of the guys that was at the top of everything. He was part of the Clinton administration, and the woman who's on the chairwoman for Black Lives Matter is the same person who was part of the Weather Underground, and she had like a 50-year prison sentence or something like that. Bill Clinton pardoned Bill Ayers. No, I think he pardoned her.
Yeah.
I don't remember who he
Yeah, I
pardoned.
think he pardoned her.
He pardoned one of the Weather Underground
Yeah.
as his last. No, Obama. Obama did.
Yeah, it was Obama.
Obama pardoned her right before he
Yep.
got out. Right before it was the last thing he did as president.
And
was
her
pardon
response to that.
And so she's at the head of Black Lives Matter now. Black Lives Matter is essentially
terrorist group.
it's a terrorist group.
Yeah.
It's a domestic terrorist group. They tried this shit back in the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the exact same thing, exact same propaganda, spray painting pigs on the buildings. I mean, it's the exact same shit. We were watching a Weather Underground documentary, and I was like, hey, you know what I want to do? And I want to take this documentary and I want to go scene by scene and show how they're showing the exact same scenes now. History's repeating. It was a lot of work to find to find the actual clips from today, but I've seen all of this stuff as I've been paying attention to what's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's of the utmost importance. So this whole story about 5 suitcase nukes, I think that we might actually see that. I'm not saying we will see it. I'm just saying there's a probability that we may see it. Also, something coming from the sky. That was one of my first reactions to this whole COVID lockdown was, hey, there must be something coming from the sky, or we must be at war with China, or something like that. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. I know we got to go here in a second.
That's okay.
So that was my first reaction to all of this. And I still suspect there might be something coming from the sky, because you don't lock down the whole freaking world over a virus that has a 99.96% survival rate. I'm sorry, you just don't do that. You don't crash economies. I mean, maybe it's because of Trump, but I think it's the virus working itself out. But I think there could be something else coming as well. So there's so many different facets to this. At this point, I'm not taking anything off the table. Nothing. But I am watching all the hoaxes, and I'm watching all the misdirections and everything, and people love their hoaxes. People love their misdirections, like this whole Anubis thing.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for like fucking 4 days on Facebook now, and people are like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not Set, that's Anubis. It's the god of death. COVID is death, etc. Okay, well, where's the death? Where's the death from COVID? Please show me.
Yeah.
They're using the god of death on the COVID vans. Where's the death? There is no death. It's
Right.
the god of chaos. It's the god
Yeah.
of destruction. That's exactly what they're trying to
and
provoke
that's what
with their-
Bellum is. Chaos, destruction.
Of course, Bellum.
War against itself.
Yeah, BLM, Bellum, the Latin, the invocation of the Latin, which is the god of war and chaos, and Bellum is civil war.
Yeah, it's
It's
civil
all
war.
connected. It's all
Yeah.
connected. But I do want to leave you with this one last video here, just to go back to what we were talking about here a minute ago. Everyone, Chris Gio here, coming to you from Beyond the Veil. We're preparing for the Great Pyramid expedition, and I just wanted to show you how perfectly everything is lined up. As you can see behind me, we're actually on a boat, and you can see the Nile waterline. So I'm actually sitting right now underneath the Nile waterline on this boat, and I'm inside of a little kitchen area, and they've let us use the kitchen to prepare our brew, which is right there. So the brew is actually being prepared underneath the Nile waterline. I mean, the way everything has been clicking, the way everything has just been coming together, I mean, aside from a couple of kidnapping attempts and attempts on our life, but that's just comes with the territory. But the way that everything has been coming together has just been so awe-inspiring. I mean, if there was any doubt that we're fulfilling a destiny here, that doubt is completely gone. I mean, not with the way everything is lining up. So we're going to take this brew that we're infusing with all of your energy that's made underneath the waterline of the Nile, and we're taking it to the Great Pyramid. We're not going to post this video until after we get back, but I just wanted to tell you all that I love you so much, and whatever we need to do at the Great Pyramid, we're going to do. I promise you that. Love you, and see you even further beyond the veil.